In continuation to my earlier video regarding the intermediate code generation, we are going to look at some of an examples for an intermediate code generations. If I am going to consider with a Boolean expressions, means how can you write down an intermediate code in representation of a Boolean expressions? One way of translating the Boolean expression is to encode the expressions, that is true and false values, as the integers 1 and 0 respectively. The true is corresponding to 1 and false is corresponding to 0. We need to encode the code to evaluate the values of the expressions in some temporary variables. So what we are going to do is we would be generating the corresponding values 0 and 1, and that would be stored in some temporary variables. This is a translation scheme for generating the Boolean expression in terms of a three-address statements. So before going with this one, let us go with one of a simple example. For example, if I am going to take a expression a less than b, so I need to generate the three-address statement for the expression a less than b. This is the three-address code that would be generated for this expression. We would be writing down in terms of if a less than b go to, where go to represents the true statement condition, and following this would be the false. Now if I am going to look at that how this three-address statement is being generated, we shall refer back to the translation scheme. This is the translation scheme. So I am having a relational, that is a production of the form e can have the form of e relational operator e. E of 1 and e of 2 represents the first and the second occurrence of the e in the given production. Now if I am going to compare with the code that has been generated, we may find that here it's a temporary variable generated t1 and t1. Obviously the t1 would be only t1 would be there, either it would be having a 0 or 1 depending upon the true and the false condition, the values. Now if I am going to generate, the first of the statement would be t1 is equals to generate temporary variable. So it's a function gen temp, it's a function that is going to generate a temporary variable at t1 to store the result. The next statement that I have generated over here is 1 2 3 4. In total I have generated 4 statements, so we can just go with the translation scheme. It's generate code, generate code, generate code, generate code. So 4 of the generation, that is code, is being generated. So this generate code function is going to generate the code. So we find that there are four statements that has been generated, 1 2 3 4. Now if I am going to take one by one, generate code. What is the first code that has been generated? If e of 1 dot place, we have already seen dot represents the attribute of that grammar symbol. So e of 1 dot place, the corresponding value, relational operator, whatever the value for that relational operator, greater than, less than, e of 2 dot place, again the e of 2 grammar symbol with the attribute place, go to next quad plus 3. So it's a next quad that we represent in terms of a three-address statement in terms of a quadruples, that is the 0 1 2 3 4 statement numbers. So if I am going to take with the first of the statement, if e1 dot place, so how I am going to generate it? If, what is the e1? As per my example, it's a. So a relational operator less than e of 2 dot place b, then go to next quad plus 3. So what is the first statement over here? That is going to be the statement that is I. So obviously it would be I plus 3. Why? Because as per my three-address statement to be generated in terms of a translation scheme, it's next quad plus 3. So what is the current quad? That is 1. That is I. So I plus 3. Next statement that I have generated is generate code. Again it's the second statement, that is generate code t1 is equals to 0. So you may find it t1 is equals to 0. That is the statement number I plus 1. It's I plus 1. Next statement it's going to be in terms of the next of the statement is generate code, go to next quad plus 2. So it's go to, that has been generated, next quad plus 2. Obviously this is 2, so it's 2 plus 2, that is 4. So what we have find it over here was the generate code for the first of the statement, generate code for the second, generate code for the third, generate code for the fourth, that is t equals to 1. Now if I am going to compare it, let it be as a statement number 0, statement number 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I am going to take it as E, if A is less than B, go to. What would be the true statement over here? If this condition is going to be true, it would be t1 is equals to 1. The t1 would be having, the temporary variable would be having the value 1. So which is the statement number? It's going to be as 0, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be as goto of 3. Goto of 3. The statement immediately following would be t1 would be equals to 0 if it's going to be false. And once the t1 value is going to be false, the next of the statement, the loop, that is the control would be going. The control would be going to which statement? Goto of I plus 4. Go to I plus 4. What would be the current statement for the I? 2. 0, 1, 2. So goto of 2 plus 2, that is 4. So it would be 2 plus 2, that would be 4. Goto of 4. What would be the goto of 4? The next of the statement that is going to follow. So again I repeat it, this would be the translation scheme. Based on this translation scheme, we would be generating these 3 address statements. This is a simple example that is going to be for the expression A less than B. So if you encounter anywhere a statement that is an expression A less than B, how you need to write down? We need to write down in terms of if A less than B, go to the true followed by the false, that is a temporary variable, then the control to which statement it would be going after this statement is going to execute, and obviously this would be the true condition, and then it would be following the remaining set of the statements. So this is how the translation schemes that already we have seen it, that how we are going to write down the syntax directed translation scheme. This was one of an example that I have got it. Now let us go with another example, that is the 3 address code for the expression A less than B and C less than D. Now if I find it A less than B, C less than D, so I have 2 expressions over here. So let us consider for the first of an expression, that is A less than B. So how will you write down? As per the 3 address statement which we have seen it earlier just now, if A less than B, go to true. Second, the statement immediately, that is I plus 1, would be following as t1 is equals to 0. Next, go to, okay, next would be t1 is equals to 1. Now once you have written in this form, now you can put the actual labels, what this go to value is going to be or what this go to value is going to be. So if I am going to put it as 0, 1, 2, 3, if these are the statements, so this is going to be the third statement, so obviously this would be go to of 3. I have written it as I plus 3. This statement would be for the false. Next would be go to of I plus 4, that is going to be 2 plus 2, that is go to of 4. This would be the 4. Now after this statement is executed, we would be executing for C greater than D. So how to write down C greater than D? Again in the same manner, if. Why? Because it's having a relational operator. So we have seen that if there is a relational operator, how to write down the 3 address code? It would be written as if, same thing, C greater than D, go to true, then false, then the control should go to, that is an unconditional jump, and this is representing a conditional jump. Based on the conditional, go to jump, it's an unconditional jump. So go to of, then t2 of 1. Here we have used a t2. Why? Because already t1 we have used over here. It could be another temporary variable would be generated t2. Now here the true condition I need to put it. So this was the statement number 4. It is 5, it is 6, it is 7. So I will be writing down go to of 7. Yes, it's correct. It's going to be as 4 plus 3 as per my translation scheme, that is next quad plus 3. So 4 plus 3 is going to be 7. Here it is next quad plus 2. So 6 is the quad value. So 6 plus 2, that is 8. Go to of 8. Now what would be the last statement? If I have the value for t1 and t2. T1 I have a value, T2 also I have the value. Either it may be 0 or 1, it may be also 0 or 1. So what would be the last statement? T3 would be equals to T1 and T2. So T1 and T2. This is the last of the statement, that is I plus 8, that is go to of this statement. So we have seen with two of an examples. One of the example, the first we have seen it for the simple expression a less than b based on this translation scheme. So we need to remember this translation scheme. That is very important. Based on this translation scheme, we have generated this three-address statement. And in the same way, I have got with another one, that is with the logical AND, that is a less than b and c greater than d. We have seen that how to generate a three-address statement for the given example. Now continuation, if I get with another statement, that is if then else statement, if I have it in a programming language, and how to get it converted into a three-address statement. I have given a very simple explanation for this one. It is composed of three components: a boolean expression capital E, a statement S1 would be there. Obviously it would be executed when E is going to be true, and there would be a statement S2 that is to be executed when the E value is false. Let us go with an example. If A less than B, then statement S1, else statement S2. So this is the E expression, this is the statement S1, this is the statement S2, as per the instruction that I have given it over here. So we have a boolean expression E, we have a statement S1, we have a statement S2, S1 when E is true, S2 when E is false. Now we need to write down a three-address statement for this given input. I start with this relational operator, that is A less than B. So if A less than B, so how I would writing down the three-address code for the less than, that is A less than B, already we have seen it. So let's just write down if A less than B, go to true, go to, that is going to be which one, that is an else part, it would be, that is my false condition. So what is the true and the false? If I write down now here over here without putting with as t1 is equals to 0 and t2 is equals to 0. Why? Because I don't need the temporary variable values over here to represent. I need to show the control flow of my statement. So if A is less than B, go to true. If it is true, we know that if it is true, x equals to y plus z would be executed. So let us go with, I am not putting the number, let it be, we can put it blank right now. Okay, don't put the value over here, just write down go to true. Next, go to, if it is going to be some of the false condition, so put it as go to, don't put any number over here. The next statement would be obviously t1 is equals to y plus z. This x equals to y plus z, it's already in the three address form, but this we need to find out the scope of this variable x. So we would be getting it as x equals to y plus z in an optimization phase, not right now. So right now we would be writing down as the temporary variable, that is t1 is equals to y plus z, and the value of t1 would be assigned to x. Just already we have seen how to write down the three address statements. So t1 is equals to y plus z, and this t1 would be assigned to x. Now we can put the, that is representing a backpatching concept. So now we can put the numbers over here. So go to, if it is true, this statement is going to follow, so it is I plus 2. So if I am going to write down as 0, 1, 2, so it would be as 2, so it would be go to 2. Now once this statement is executed, where the control would be, the control would be after this statement. So I'm just going to put it as go to, I'm not going to put a number over here. Obviously it would be the statement immediately following the I plus 6. So once this statement is executed, go to, control would be to which statement? Statement following this one. Now if I am going to have the false part for this one, that is go to off. So obviously it's going to be as I plus 5, which is the statement I plus 5, the fifth statement. What would be the statement? The else part, that is the S2 would be executed. X2 when it is false, S1 when it is true. So it is go to of I plus 5. That is again in the three address format. If I am going to write down, Q plus R would be given to the temporary variable T2. Why? Because already T1 we have generated over here. Now this T2 would be assigned to P. Now after that obviously the next of the statement would be following, that is I plus 7. So we can write down over here as go to of 7 also. So this is another example. We have seen it for an if then else statement. So the explanation is given and the corresponding example we have seen it. Now in continuation to the next, we shall see the if then statement. I hope that we might be familiar with how to write down the 3 address code, looking with around 2 to 3 examples right now. Continuation, we can go for an if then. It is composed of two components, a boolean expression E, a statement S1 that is to be executed when E is true. The translation of if then involves making a provision for transferring the control to the start of the S1 code if E is true, and a provision is made for transferring control to the next statement after the execution of S1 is over if E is false. So if I am going to get with an example of this one, if A less than B, then X equals to Y plus Z. So if this condition is true, this is going to be executed. If it is false, the next of the statement following this one would be executed. So if I am going to convert again, A less than B, so we'll be writing down as earlier we have seen it, how it would be written. If A less than B, go to true. Next would be the go to false. So if it is going to be true, don't put the number. I already told you there is no need to hurry to put the number. Just write down the statements one by one and then you can put the numbers over here. So if I am going to put it as 0, let it be 1, it would be 2, it would be 3. So now if I am going to write down as false, after the false, next statement would be X equals to Y plus Z. So if I write down in the 3 address format, this Y plus Z would be to one of a temporary variable, that is T1 is equals to Y plus Z, and then T1 would be assigned to X. I already mentioned it that why we are putting it as a temporary variable over here. Reason is that right now we are generating an intermediate code. We are not in an optimization phase. Once we are going to have a code optimization, at that time we may change it as X equals to Y plus Z, and that temporary variables would be removed. But it won't be in an intermediate code phase, but it would be in a code optimization phase. So right now we need to write down as T1 is equals to Y plus Z, and this T1 would be assigned to X. So I hope that this is one of a very simple example to go for an if then. Continuation with a while. Since a while statement has two components, a boolean expression E, a statement S1, which is a statement to be executed repeatedly as long as the E is true. The translation of the while involves provisioning the transfer of control to the start of the S1 code if E is true. So we are going to have the control to the start of the S1 whenever the condition for E is going to be true. What is an E? It's a boolean expression. What is an S1? The statement. Let us go with one as an example. The 3 address code for the statement while A less than B, do X equals to Y plus Z. So if I need to write down a 3 address statement, how it would be? Again, A less than B. So I need to write down in the 3 address statement as if A less than B, go to true, go to false. Now statement 0, statement 1. What would be the statement it would be following? Now I need to write down the 3 address for X equals to Y plus Z. So obviously Y plus Z would be equals to T1, that is a temporary variable. So T1 is equals to Y plus Z, and the T1 would be assigned to X. So now we can write down the numbers. If A is less than B, go to which statement? 2. So go to of 2. Statement would be now remaining next of the statement, that is false. If the condition is false, it would be out of this loop. So we just put it as go to. If you wish, you can write down as go to of 5, that is out of this loop. And once this statement is executed, again the control would be back to the while to check for A is less than B. So we have written it as go to of I. So again the statement control would be to the ith statement. If A is less than B, again it would be checking. If it is true, go to the statement. If it false, come out of the loop. Next, if I am going to take with a do while statement. Since a do while statement has two components, a boolean expression E and a statement S1 that is executed repeatedly as long as the E is true, the translation involves provisioning the transfer of control to test the expression after the execution of S1 is over. So that is a basic difference. That is the transfer of control to test the expression after the execution of S1 is over. Let us go with one example. The 3 address code for the statement do X equals to Y plus Z while this condition. So this statement would be executed, then the while would be checked. So it's going to be as I plus 1, I plus 2 and I plus 3. the first of the statement would be x equals to y plus z. Yes, so y plus z, as usual, it would be to a temporary variable t1 would be assigned to x. Next would be while a is less than b. So how to write down for a less than b? As already earlier we have seen for so many examples, we would be writing down as if a less than b, go to true, false. If it is true, the control would be to first of the statement, that is I. If it is false, come out of the loop. Let us go with another example to generate a 3-address code for the program fragment. So now, as we have already seen for if then else, while, do while, for the relational operators, for and, now we can just go with one of an example for a program fragment that is going to have all through with the set of inputs that we have seen it for an examples. While a is less than c and b is greater than d, do. If a equals to 1, then c equals to c plus 1, else while a less than or equal to d, do a equals to a plus 3. Now let us go with an example and write down the 3-address code for this given program fragment. So this is going to be the program fragment output in form of the 3-address statement. So if I am going to start with while a less than c, so first thing we need to write down for a less than c. Let us write down if a less than c, go to. Again I repeat it, don't write down a number right now. Don't write down the number right now. Let us give the number at the last. Just put it go to. That is for the true condition. Next would be the second statement, false condition. So just put it go to. Now, what would be the third statement? Based on this output, that is true and false, now I need, if it is true, this condition would be there. So if b greater than d, go to. Again the true, next would be again the false. Now I can put some numbers now. If this is going to be true, then I need to check for b greater than d. So the statement would be 3. So I would be writing down as go to 3. If it is false, it would be out of the loop. So I am just going to put it go to now, because I don't know exactly that how many statements would be there. So we can put this number at the last. That is the backpatching concept. Now if I am going to put it over here also, that is false. Again it would be out. Why? Because it's a and. Because I need to have both the conditions to be true to get execution for this loop. Continuation, if I am going to take it, after a less than c and b greater than d, do if a equals to 1. So I am going to write down if a equals to 1, because I need to write down the 3-address statement for each and every term. So if a is equal to 1, go to. If it is true, because it's going to be if then else. If then else. Already we have seen how to write down the 3-address statement for the if then else. So if a is equals to 1, true. If it is true, c equals to c plus 1. Yes. So c equals to c plus 1, we have written as t1 is equals to c plus 1 and t1 is equals to c. So which is the statement number? Go to 7. So the control would be to 7. If this condition is going to be false, then it would be go to of 10. Which statement? That is an else part. So which is an else part? While a is less than or equal to d. So I have put it as 10 over here. Let us see how it's the 10. Yes. The 10 is going to be while a is less than d. Now once this condition is going to be executed, that is then part, again the control would be going to which one? Go to of 1. Why? Because it's corresponding to this while loop. Now if we are going to get a while, that is a else part, if a is less than d, I need to put the go to. That would be for the true condition. 11th one would be go to of 1. Why? Because if this condition is false, again the control would be to the first of the statement. If this is true, the statement a equals to a plus 3 would be generated. So I can put it go to of 12. Go to of 12, that is t2 is equals to a plus 3. That is a plus 3 in the temporary variable t2. So t2 is going to be assigned to a. Now continuation, after executing this one, go to of 10 means again it would be to which loop? That is while a is less than d, till that condition is going to satisfy. And once it's not, it would be coming out of the loop. It would be again go to of 1. So we have in total 15. So which would be the next of the statement? 16. So we can now put the number over here, go to as 16, go to as 16 conditions, that if it is going to be true and the false. So I hope that this 3-address statement, how to write down the 3-address statement might be clear to you. So please go through these examples and try to